there. Welcome to Grandma Kitty's house, and I'm Grandma Kitty, of course. Sorry, I got a little bit tied up and I lost track of time. I was just trying to get my laundry together. And sorry, I usually watch the clock better than that, but I'm just running a little late. I'm so sorry. Now let me just sit down and we'll get started here. There's something in my chair. Oh, wait a minute. I recognize that little guy. Oh, look. It's Curious George. Well, George, did you come to visit us today? It's so nice that you could join us. Oh, I'm so sorry I threw you like that. I didn't mean to. You kind of like startled me and I overreacted. Are you okay? I didn't hurt you, did I? Oh, I'm so sorry, George. Please forgive me. What's that? Oh, he said he doesn't hold grudges. Well, that's very good, George, because holding grudges is not healthy. It's best to just forgive and forget and move on with it. So I'm sorry. I just didn't mean any harm, and I'm really sorry that I hurt you. I'm glad you're okay. George, I have one of your books here today that I thought I would read. Is that okay if I share one of your stories with our friends? Oh, you'd love that. Okay. All right, well, have a seat right here, George, and we'll read your story. This one is Curious George at the Laundromat. So let's see what kind of trouble George gets in at the laundromat. All right, and this is by Margaret and H.A. Rye. It's time to take the clothes to the laundromat, George, said his friend. Do you remember who George's friend is? The man with the yellow hat? Mm-hmm. At the laundromat, they met Mrs. Goodman, their neighbor. I have to wash my children's baseball uniforms, she said. They have a game today. George watched as she put the uniforms into the washing machine. She poured in some soap. Then she pushed a handle and the machine started to wash. The man with the yellow hat, see, here he is, the man with the yellow hat, started his wash too. Now I can leave and go do some shopping, he said. You wait here, George, and don't get into trouble. I don't know if he knows you very well, George. He should. George stood and watched as the clothes went swish, swish, back and forth. He loved it. George was curious. Could he make a machine work too? There was an empty machine in the corner. He found a pile of clothes on a table and dropped them into the machine. He poured in some soap, first a little, then a little more, and then the whole box. He pushed the handle and the machine started to wash. Suds began to flow right out of the top of the machine, and soon suds were everywhere. An ocean of suds poured out into the street. Oh my goodness, all the way out into the street. Help, help, cried the owner. Who put all that soap into the machine? It was that monkey, somebody shouted. People came running. George was scared. Where could he hide? When they reached the table, George was nowhere to be found. I have to clean up this mess, said the owner. Everyone will have to take their clothes out of the machines. That's terrible, said Mrs. Goodman. How will I ever get my children's uniforms dry in time? Mrs. Goodman took the wet clothes home and set the basket down on her porch. As soon as Mrs. Goodman went inside, a head popped out of the basket. It was George. He jumped out and looked around. A big oak tree stood in the backyard. The tree was tall, but not too tall for George. He grabbed the clothes, climbed up the tree, and hung the wet uniforms on the branches. The sun was shining brightly, and the clothes would be dry in no time. When Mrs. Goodman came out of the house, she was very surprised. Thank you, George, she said. Meanwhile, the man with the yellow hat and the owner of the laundromat had come over. There you are, George, said his friend. You have caused a lot of trouble. I'm taking you home. Wait, cried Mrs. Goodman. He made up for the mess at the laundromat by hanging the uniforms out to dry. Well, okay, said the owner kindly, but be sure to learn how to use my machines next time, George. When the uniforms were dry, the children put them on. Then Mrs. Goodman had a surprise. A little uniform for George. Oh, isn't that a nice story? Oh, George, you did create quite a dilemma, didn't you? You are a curious little guy. All right, so George, Do you know what Grandma Kitty always used to tell her kids when they were little? Whoever makes the mess gets to clean the mess up. Huh. So you probably should have helped clean the mess up, don't you think? He said he'll help clean up next time. All right, so let me tell you a little bit about Curious George stories. They were written by Margaret and H.A. Rye. And Margaret was born in Hamburg, which is near Frankfurt. What's that? No. We're not talking about food. No, we're not talking about hamburgers and hot dogs. It does kind of sound that way, though, doesn't it? No, those are cities in Germany. Here, let me show you where Germany is. We are way over here in North America, and if you go all the way across the Atlantic Ocean into Europe, there's a country called Germany, and that is where Margaret and Hans were born and lived until they moved to America, and they both came from Hamburg. And if you think that's a funny name for a city, let me tell you, we have some pretty funny names in America, too. Did you know we have some cities in America that are named, have food names? How about Pie Town, New Mexico? Oh, I would love to live in Pie Town. I would just eat pie all day long. Blueberry pie and chocolate pie. And oh, my husband loves apple pie. Oh, my goodness, Pie Town would be a fun place to live, wouldn't it? How about Hershey, Pennsylvania? That would be fun, too. All that chocolate. And then we have Sandwich, Mass. And then we have Burnt Corn, Alabama. That would be a funny city to live in. How about Chicken, Alaska? People would say, are you chicken? No, I'm not chicken. I live in Chicken. That would be a funny place to live. How about Cookie Town, Oklahoma? Oh, I would love to live in Cookie Town. I love cookies. And then we also have like Turkey, Texas. You live in a Turkey? No, I live in Turkey. In Turkey, it's a town. Or how about Popcorn, Indiana? Oh my goodness, if I lived in Popcorn, Indiana, I'd probably have a stomach ache all the time because I'd just be eating popcorn all the time. How about Hot Coffee, Mississippi? Or Toast, North Carolina? So if Burnt Corn, Alabama, and Toast, North Carolina get together, they would be Burnt Toast. We have some pretty funny cities in America too, don't we? But anyway, back to the author. So their name was actually Ryersbach, and they shortened it. They got rid of all these letters at the end here, and they just left it R-E-Y, Rye. They probably just to make it easier for people to say. So they, Margaret and Hans were both from Hamburg, and they moved to America, and they lived in Cambridge, Mass, which is down near Boston, and they wrote a whole series of Curious George books, and I have more of them, so I'll read them, some others to you sometime, huh, George? That would be fun if we read more of your books. You know, in 1989, they formed a foundation that's actually called the Curious George Foundation, and that foundation helps creative children, and it also helps to prevent cruelty to animals, since George is a monkey. So, all right, so today I thought we could talk about doing laundry, since George was at the laundromat. So let's see, George, let's move you. Maybe you can sit in the basket here and watch. And let's see, I have some laundry here. Let's see what we have here. Oh, laundry is kind of a dirty subject, isn't it? Of course laundry is dirty. You wouldn't be washing laundry if it was clean, right? So, oh my goodness, look at, laundry is just never done, is it? It's just always something that needs to be done. Okay, so let's talk about, the first thing you want to do is sort your laundry. All right, so I've got 2 baskets here. All right, I'm going to have to move you again, George. You can sit here in my chair and let me catch up to my basket that rolled away. All right, now if you have a lot of laundry, like when my kids were little, I had lots of laundry, and so I would sort it actually into 3 piles. I would do whites, and then the pile for the kind of medium colors, and then the darks. And the reason you want to sort it is because if you don't sort your whites from your darks, they won't be white anymore. They'll turn kind of gray. If you wash them with something red, they might turn pink. So okay, so we've got This would be dark, and this would be dark, and these jeans, I would go with light, and oh, stinky socks, that was dark, oh, stinky underwear, and then sometimes you get something that's, like I said, kind of in between. You have to decide, do you want it dark, do you want it light? I go with whatever we need more of. I just kind of sort it out, and oh, you know, another thing you need to do too is read your labels, because sometimes the label will say dry clean only, and if it says dry clean only, you don't want to put it in your washing machine, because the water will make it kind of shrivel up and shrink, and it won't fit right anymore. Now this one here, this reminds me of a sweater that I had once. Oh, I loved that sweater. It was so comfy, and I just loved it. But you know, the label said day clean only. So I had to give it away because I was never home during the day to wash it. What's that? Oh, you think it might have said dry clean only? Oh, dry clean, day clean. I bet you're right. I bet it was just a typo and it was supposed to say dry clean only. I wished I thought of that before I gave it away. Oh, well, you never know. Well, so here's some more dark stuff. Oh, some more stinky socks. And some more dark stuff. And these jeans are light, so they can go here. Some more stinky socks. Oh, and now towels and washcloths. Now, if you have enough, you probably want to do those in a separate load, because you really don't want to wash your washcloths and your dishcloths with your stinky socks and your stinky underwear. So probably it's best to wash those separately. I'm just going to throw them in here for now, though. All right, sometimes you get something like this, and it's got, you know, it's got both light and dark. Well, you just got to figure out what you're going to wash it with. If you wash it with the dark, then your white might lose its whiteness. If you wash it with your whites, it might get your other whites kind of dirty. So it's kind of hard to decide. But this one, I see that it's got some stains on it. Now, kids are always getting stains on their clothes. Grass stains or food, ketchup, mustard, whatever. So I have some pre-wash spray, and I just spray it on there, and achoo! It works really well, but it always makes me sneeze. Achoo! See what I mean? But it does work well trying to take the stains out. So you can just spray your stains with a little bit of pre-wash and let them set for a little bit. All right, and oh, I'll go with dark with this. This is kind of in between. Hard to know sometimes, but all right, same with this. You know, you just got to choose whether you want it light or dark or where you want it. Oh, look at this t-shirt. This is a funny t-shirt. This says, Kitty's not happy. This is my grumpy shirt. I wear this when I'm grumpy. Oh yes, Grandma Kitty gets grumpy sometimes too. Yes, this is actually Felix the cat, and if you don't know who he is, you'll have to Google him. All right, and then sometimes husbands get shirts really dirty too. So I ask you, what are you supposed to do when they come home with something like this? You know what you do? You wash it, and you soak it, and you wash it, and you soak it, and you throw it in the wash machine, and if it comes out dirty, you throw it in again. But here's another little secret. My husband sometimes gets grease on his shirts from working on trucks and cars, and you know what works really good on grease? Dish soap. Dish soap is designed to it's designed to cut grease. That's what it's for, to cut grease on your dishes. So you just dump a little bit of dish soap on there, and you just rub it in and let it set. Oh, it works really well. Who would have ever thought dish soap would be good for laundry, huh? All right, so there, you get it all sorted out, all right, and then you have to measure your laundry detergent, okay? So I've got my cup there, so let's measure our laundry detergent. And oh my, oh look, there's somebody walking by. I've never seen that person before. Oh my goodness, I wonder who that is. They must be new to the neighborhood. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. I was so nosy, look what I did. I overflowed the laundry detergent cup. Oh my goodness, I made a mess. Well, you know, well, like I told George, whoever makes the mess gets to clean it up. And I will clean it up, I promise I will clean it up, but I'm going to wait. I have found from experience that my messes always wait for me. So I'm going to move on to Move and Groove, and I'll deal with that mess later. Grandma Kitty should have paid attention to what she was doing, huh? So let's do Move and Groove, and this would go in the dark. Remember, Move and Groove is what we do to make our hearts happy, because our heart loves it when we get up and move and get some exercise. I have a new song for you today. This is called Jump, Jump, Jump. And, what's that, George? George would like to do Move and Groove with me. All right, George, that would be wonderful. Let me find my song here, and you can do Move and Groove with me. Here we go, George. Are you ready? Can you feel the joy? Gonna make you wanna jump, jump, jump. Oh, George. Move, move, move. Throw your hands to the groove, groove, groove. Can you feel the joy? Gonna make you wanna jump, jump, jump. Gonna make you wanna move, move, move. Throw your hands to the groove, groove, groove. You gotta know that God is always by your side. If you're feeling down, look around. Just enjoy your ride. Can you feel the joy? Gonna make you wanna jump, jump. George! Make you wanna move, move, move. Throw your hands to the groove, groove, groove. Yeah. Can you feel the joy? Gonna make you wanna jump, jump. George, stop that! Make you wanna move, move, move. Throw your hands to the groove, groove, groove. Oh, yeah. You gotta know that God is always by your side. If you're feeling down, look around. Just enjoy your ride. Can you feel the joy? Gonna make you wanna jump, jump. Come back here, George. Gonna make you wanna move, move, move. Throw your hands to the groove, groove, groove. Can you feel the joy? Gonna make you wanna jump, jump, jump. Gonna make you wanna move, move, move. Throw your hands to the groove, groove, groove. Can you feel the joy? Gonna make you wanna jump, jump, jump. Gonna make you wanna move, move, move. Throw your hands to the groove, groove, groove. Can you feel the joy? Gonna make you wanna jump, jump, jump. Gonna make you wanna move, move, move. Throw your hands to the groove, groove, groove. Oh, George, my goodness. You are quite the jumper. You did good moving there, but I thought you were going to jump right out of my hands a couple of times. Oh, my goodness. You like that song, huh? Oh, he said that he's a monkey, and monkeys like to jump. Of course they do. They like to jump up in the tree and swing from branch to branch. Yes, you are a monkey, George, and I can imagine you do like to jump. All right, so let's see what we have here. Let's check our bee basket. Okay, do you remember that our bee basket is the things that we want to be? And let's see what we have in there today. Ah, look at that. This is perfect for George. It says, be curious. Oh, that's perfect, isn't it? Because we have curious George, be curious. That works perfect, huh? Do you know what curious means? It means eager to know something, eager to learn. My grandson, he is very eager to learn, and he'll ask me question after question after question after question, and I'll say to him, why do you ask so many questions? And he'll say, because I'm curious, Grandma. So we learn by asking questions, don't we? Mm-hmm. And how else do we learn? Oh, I like that answer. Yes, we learn by reading books, and Grandma Kitty will never argue with that. She loves it when you read books, yes. So you can learn by reading books and by asking questions. Now, if your mom says, you've asked me about 100 questions, could you please stop? That might mean that you're being a little bit too curious. Did you know that parents don't have all the answers? Did you know that? They're only human and they don't know everything. I know that they're older and they've got more experience, but there are some things that they just don't have the answer for. So, if you want to ask questions, that's okay. But if mom or dad seem to get annoyed or frustrated or say, okay, enough questions, then maybe you're being too curious and it's time to stop, right? Look what happened George was a little bit too curious at the laundromat, wasn't he? And look what happened. He made a mess of the laundromat, didn't you, George? Yes, you did. And then look at Grandma Kitty. She was being curious about somebody walking by the house and looking out the window when she should have been paying attention. And look, she spilled the laundry detergent all over the place. So I think that there are times when you can be a little bit too curious, and maybe you need to not be quite so curious so that you don't make a mess, or so that you don't get into trouble, or so that you want to stay safe too. And the other thing is you don't want to drive your parents crazy by being too curious. All right, so let's see what else we have here. We have this sign. Don't forget this sign. Believe in yourself. You have lots of good things inside of you, talents and abilities and skills, and you have to find out what you're good at and work at that skill or that talent, and then use it to make the world a better place, right? You just have so much inside of you that's good, and you just got to figure it all out and use it to make the world a better place. And look, I remembered my big sign today, be the best you that you can be, right? Remember what Grandma Kitty always says? You'll never get in trouble for being good, right? You won't get sent to your room. You won't get sent to timeout, right? You won't get punished for being good, right? Oh my goodness, so we have had a fun day today here, George, haven't we? Huh? We learned how to do the laundry, so now you can help Mom or Dad sort the laundry. Remember to put the darks in one pile and the lights in another. But when it comes time to put them in the washing machine, you probably ought to let Mom work the washing machine, because there's lots of buttons and you don't want to mess the washing machine up. And maybe the laundry detergent, unless you can do better than Grandma Kitty, maybe you should let Mom deal with the laundry detergent too. But then when they're all done in the washing machine, you could maybe help her put them in the dryer. When they're done with the dryer, maybe you could help her fold them up or put them away in your bureau, huh? So there's a lot you can do to help Mom, right? And then, like we said, it's okay to be curious, but not too curious. We want to be safe. We don't want to make too big of a mess. Yeah, I know, George. I've got to clean that mess up. Oh my goodness, I just got to clean that mess up. And oh dear, oh no. Now I've made another mess. Now I've dumped my coffee in my lap. Well, at least it wasn't hot coffee like Hot Coffee Mississippi, right? So now I've got two messes I have to clean up. Well, it's a good thing I hadn't done my laundry yet. Now I've got more laundry to add to it. So I guess I better clean my messes up. What's that, George? Oh, you'll help me? Oh, George said he'll help me clean my messes up. Well, that's very nice of you, George. What? Oh, he said that he'll clean up the laundry detergent, and I can clean up the coffee. It wasn't hot. It has cooled off by now, but I'll have to go change my clothes and wipe the floor up. But that's very nice of you to offer to help, George. You are such a helpful little monkey. Oh, well, thank you for joining us today, George. It was a pleasure to have you along with us. So, I guess we better go so we can clean up our messes. I've got to go change these clothes. And so you take care. You stay healthy and safe and happy and be curious. Help Mom with the laundry. All right? And you take care, and I will see you next time, okay? Bye-bye.